It has been a big week in the secondary market, so this time we're going to be looking at the top 10 cold cards and the top 20 hot cards. This video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can order Innistrad Remastered, pre-order Ether Drift, or find a vast number of other great items on their website. Remember, shipping is free in the US if your order is over $100 or consists only of singles. Just look in the description or the comment section below for direct links to their site. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. The market is on fire this week, thanks in part to Ether Drift previews, but there are some other surprising key drivers to look at too. This week we'll be examining 10 cold cards moving down in value and 20 hot cards that are going up. We'll move quickly through the cold cards and spend more time examining why the cards moving up in price are heating up. As always, our lists are based on two pieces of criteria: the percentage change in the value of the cards, as well as the change in the number of sales from week to week. Quickly before we get into it though, just a couple of things. I do want to say thank you to one of our gold patrons, and that is Cesareo Garasa. Cesareo, thank you so much for all your support on Patreon. I know I always say I couldn't do this without viewers like yourself, but it is totally true. Thank you again so much, Cesareo, for all the support you've given the channel. And also, I do want to say thank you to a viewer who gave a super chat during our live premiere last week, and that's Paul Dodd. Paul, thank you so much for that tip. It does mean a lot, really helps a lot too. Always appreciate your support as well. Thank you. And now without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin with the top 10 coldest cards of the week. Again, this week we're seeing a lot of Bloomburrow Commander cards moving down in price since a new shipment of those Commander decks hit stores a few weeks ago. Also, some cards that were hot last week are sliding down this week as they try to find their correct price points. Starting off though, at number 10 is Crystal Spray, down $2.41 to $11.78. That's a 17% decrease. This was number 2 on the cold list for 2 weeks, then last week it dropped to number 6. This week it falls 3 more spots to number 9. It is Jacked Rabbit. It's down $2.42 to $5.69. That's a 30% decrease. This is from Family Matters, the Bloomburrow Commander deck, not the TV show. Number 8, Agate Instigator, down $2.67 to $9.73. That's a 22% decrease. This is another card from Family Matters, the Commander deck, not the TV show. Number 7 is Swarmyard Massacre, down $3.26 to $4.57. That's a 42% decrease. This one is from the Bloomburrow Squirreled Away Commander deck. Number 6, Poliwag Prodigy, down $3.49 to $10. That's a 26% decrease. Yet another card from Family Matters. You guessed it, the Bloomburrow Commander deck, not the TV show. Number 5, Eladamri Lord of Leaves. It's down $4.13 to $58.02. That's a 7% decrease. Climbing 3 spots this week to number 4, Alchemist Talent. It goes down $5.09 to $13.83. That's a 27% decrease. Each Bloomburrow Commander deck has an exclusive talent spell that cannot be pulled anywhere else, including collector boosters. This is the exclusive talent from the Animated Army deck. This was number 1 on the hot list last week. Now it's number 3 on the cold list. It's retracting some after the huge spike we saw last episode. Unfulfilled Desires, down $5.71 to $24.28. That's a 19% decrease. This one was number 3 on the hot list last week. Now it's number 2 on the cold list. This too is retracting some after a very aggressive spike. Marina Lich Queen, the Double Masters 2022 copy, is down $4.36 to $10.74. That's a 29% decrease. The Commander 2018 copy from the Subjective Reality deck is down $7.05 to $13.94. That's a 34% decrease. That one only comes in foil. And our number 1 card was number 2 on the hot list last week. Third verse, same as the first. This too spiked aggressively last week. Tortured Existence. The Stronghold copy is down $2.26 to $11.98. That is a 16% decrease. The one from the list is down $8.16 to $20.79. That's a 28% decrease. Okay, now on to the main event, the top 20 hottest cards of the week, and coming in at number 20 is Hordewing Scab. This is up $1.10 to $4.80 for a 30% increase. It's from the Innistrad Midnight Hunt Undead Unleashed Commander deck, and this has been a popular card for Commander zombie builds, appearing in decks around several commanders, like the front-facing commander from its pre-con Wilhelt, the Rotcleaver, the Scarab God, which is about to be reprinted in the upcoming Ether Drift Eternal Might Commander deck, and Gisa Droff, as well as another card that was just reprinted in Innistrad Remastered, Grimgrin Corpseborn. As you may have guessed by now, however, the main reason Hordewing Scab's price is jumping is because it will be a good upgrade to that Eternal Might Commander deck. Players and speculators are scrambling for potential upgrades for that build, and this is one of the cards they've locked onto. I'm also seeing it in fresh deck lists around a couple of cards from the product: the front-facing commander, Temet Naktaman's Will, and Hashatan Scarab's Fist. Number 19 is Marneus Kelgar. This is up $1.22 to $6.93. That's a 21% increase. This is the regular foil copy from the Warhammer 40k Forces of the Imperium commander deck. It's a fairly popular commander and in the 99 of a few builds. For example, it's often in decks around the front-facing commander from its precon, Inquisitor Greyfax, or around Najila the Blade Blossom. You might remember that this card heated up recently when the character appeared in the popular Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 video game, but now Marneus' price is jumping because of Aether Drift. Again, some speculators and players are interested in Marneus Kelgar as a potential upgrade to the Eternal Might Commander deck, while others are putting the card in fresh deck lists around Hashatan Scarab's Fist from there. Number 18 is Witch Enchanter, up $1.31 to $5.39. That's a 32% increase. This card has been seeing play in multiple formats. In Vintage, it's in Mono White Azorius and Boros Initiative. Over in Legacy, it's found in both the Mono White and Orzhov versions of Yorion Death and Taxes, as well as Esper Vile. Modern, however, is one of the big reasons this card is jumping the way it is. You see this in the highly played Orzhov mid-range Blink deck there, and it's in Esper, Selesnya, Simic, and Abzan versions of Blink as well. Additionally, Witch Enchanter appears in several 1v1 commander and regular commander decks. In Dual Commander, this is in the popular Felia Exuberant Shepherd builds, while in regular commander, this is in decks around Heliod Sun Crowned, Giada Font of Hope, and more. In fact, it's often found in Edgar Markov builds, and that card just got reprinted in Innistrad Remastered. This also recently saw an increase in commander play in decks around a card from Magic Foundation's Jumpstart, Plagon Lord of the Beach. Plus, there is further interest in Witch Enchanter now thanks to Aether Drift. I'm seeing the card included in deck lists around Ketramos the New Dawn, while others are interested in adding Witch Enchanter to the Eternal Might Commander deck. Plus, I've seen it in fresh deck lists around Hashatan Scarab's Fist from there. Ultimately, Witch Enchanter trends up this week thanks to the modern play it's seeing and the speculation around the commander play that it may see when Aether Drift is released. Number 17, Elenda's Hierophant, up $1.42 to $4.72. That is a 43% increase. This is from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Bloodright's commander deck, and it has seen a good amount of commander play since it came out. For example, it appears frequently in builds around the front-facing commander from its precon, Clavel Enyo, First of the Blessed. Recently, this saw even more commander play in builds around a card from Magic Foundations, Elenda, Saint of Dusk. However, the main reason Elenda's Hierophant is hot right now is due to the reprinting of Edgar Markov in Innistrad Remastered. Edgar is the #1 played commander deck that runs the card. Number 16, Emperor of Bones, up $1.65 to $4.62. That's a 56% increase. This is another card from the wildly popular modern Orzhov midrange Blink deck, and that is the main reason the price is trending up. It also appears in other modern decks like the Esper version of Blink, as well as Goryo's Vengeance, Mardu midrange, and sometimes Mardu Energy. Additionally, Emperor of Bones is played in several 1v1 dual and regular commander builds. In regular commander, it's found at times in Gisa the Hellraiser and the Wise Mothman decks. However, players and speculators are now interested in this because of a preview from Aether Drift. This is appearing in deck lists around Ketramos the New Dawn. That's the secondary reason for the price increase. Number 15, Steel Enchantment, up $1.83 to $8.96. That's a 28% increase. This very old one-print wonder dried up in the marketplace this week and creeped up in price. I have seen this appearing more frequently in 1v1 dual commander decks here and there. For example, it has been in some Tamishi Reality Architect decks. It occasionally shows up in random regular commander builds too, but 1v1 dual commander appears to be the key driver this time. Number 14 is Charismatic Conqueror. This is up $1.96 to $12.96. That's an 18% increase. This is another card from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Bloodright's commander deck. It's a fairly popular commander, and it is in the 99 of several builds in the format, like Teysa Karlov, for example. I bet you can guess, though, which commander running Charismatic Conqueror is the most popular. Yup, that would be the newly reprinted Edgar Markov, and that's why this card is spiking right now. Number 13, Sarcomancy, up $2 to $8. That's a 33% increase. This reserve list card has been getting more play recently in the pre-modern format. I mentioned last week that pre-modern is beginning to impact more and more card prices, and this is another example. Granted though, it doesn't take too much to spike a reserve list card since any movement will catch the attention of speculators. Regardless though, Sarcomancy frequently appears in pre-modern mono black aggro builds. Number 12, Edward Kenway, up 204 to 1323, that's an 18% increase. Currently, this is a fairly popular commander, and it's in the 99 of a few builds like Ezio Auditore da Firenze and Admiral Beckett Brass. But now there is increased interest in Edward because of Ether Drift, hence the price increase. Vehicles play a large role in the new set, and we have seen some preview cards that certainly enhance Edward Kenway's commander builds. Here are a couple of examples: Fearless Swashbuckler and Lifecraft Engine. Number 11 is Shorikai Genesis Engine, up 211 to 510, that's a 71% increase. This is the foil copy from the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Buckle Up Commander deck. Be careful with this one though, they just announced that it would be reprinted in the Secret Lair, featuring Mitsuhiro Arita, who is known for Pokemon art. When it comes to gameplay, this has been seeing more 1v1 dual commander play and builds around Plagon Lord of the Beach from Magic Foundation's Jumpstart. Over in regular Commander, Shorikai Genesis Engine is still a very popular commander, and it's in the 99 of some builds like Elquist Proft, Master Sleuth, and Marnius Kelgar, for example. As you can imagine, Ether Drift is impacting the price here too due to its vehicle focus. Some players are adding Shorikai to commander deck lists around this card preview from Ether Drift, Mendicant's Court Guidelight, and this card will be good in Shorikai Genesis Engine builds too, along with other new cards from Ether Drift like this one, for example, Thopter Fabricator. Alright, quickly before we get to the top 10, just a fast reminder, this video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can order Innistrad Remastered, you can pre-order Ether Drift, or pick up any number of other great items on their website, Magic related and otherwise. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States, and if you're looking for a direct link to their site, just check out the description or the comment section below. I do have links posted in both of those places. And now, without any further ado, let's look at the top 10. Number 10 is Diregraph Colossus. The Shadows over Innistrad copy is up 232 to 732. That's a 46% increase. The Innistrad Midnight Hunt Undead Unleashed Commander deck copy is up 273 to $6.90. That's a 65% increase. This is a fantastic card for zombie commander builds where you do see it around several different commanders. For example, it's indexed around the front-facing commander from its pre-con Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. It's in the soon-to-be reprinted the Scarab God builds. You see it indexed around a couple cards reprinted in Innistrad Remastered, Gisa and Drolf, as well as Grim Grin Corpseborn. Recently, it even saw increased commander play around a card from Magic Foundations, Zul Ashur Lich Lord. And of course, Diregraph Colossus will be a great upgrade to the upcoming Eternal Might commander deck. In fact, it's one of the upgrades we mentioned on our Eternal Might upgrade video, but the Command Zone podcast also brought it up in theirs, and they do get 1 or 2 more viewers than I do. Additionally, Diregraph Colossus will be strong in fresh builds around Temet Noctimon's Will, and Asheton Scarab's Fist from there as well. For all those reasons and more, Diregraph Colossus is spiking this week. Up 2 spots this week to number 9 from Urza's Destiny, it is Masticore, up $3.27 to $15.38. That's a 27% increase. The pre-modern format strikes again. Masticore is found in a few different decks there, including various Survival of the Fittest builds as well as Tron. Of course, since Masticore is a reserveless card, even a little attention can make it jump. Number 8 is Edgar Charmed Groom. The Innistrad Crimson Vow copy is up $1.73 to $4.72. That's a 58% increase. The Innistrad Double Feature copy is up $3.48 to $8.91. That's a 64% increase. This is a great card for Commander Vampire decks. For example, this is in builds around Clevel Enyo, First of the Blessed, but again, the real reason this spike is happening right now is Edgar Markov. I hope you watched our Edgar Markov Commander Deck Tag video a few weeks ago and grabbed a copy of this card. Now that Edgar Markov's reprinting from Innistrad Remastered is getting into players' hands, there are a lot of new Edgar builds out there, and they are including Edgar Charmed Groom. Number 7 is Parallax Wave. The Nemesis copy goes up $3.34 to $23.85. That's a 16% increase. The one from the list is up $3.57 to $29.91. That's a 14% increase. This is a pretty big 1v1 dual commander card that appears in builds like Aragorn King of Gondor, Velia Exuberant Shepherd, and Ezio Auditore da Firenze, for example. However, it's not that simple. Parallax Wave is also seeing play in the pre-modern format, and that's the true reason for this spike right now. The most popular deck running it is Parallax Replenish. They typically run 4 copies of Replenish, Attunement, Opalescence, Parallax Tide, and Parallax Wave. I'm also seeing some players trying out a legacy version of this deck now too, so keep a close eye on this card as well as Opalescence going forward. Number 6 is Kozilek's Return. The Modern Horizons 3 Eldrazi Incursion Commander deck copies up $1.92 to $5.45. That's a 54% increase. The Oath of the Gatewatch copy goes up $3.90 to $6.90. That's a 130% increase. First, this does see a little commander play. It's in builds around the front-facing commander from its precon, Wilhelt Fused Atrocity. It's also in Hiragast Erupting Nullkite and more. But Modern is the key driver for this price spike. The banned and restricted list update from December really shook up the meta, and players are still discovering which decks are top tier. One of the biggest builds right now in Modern is Eldrazi Ramp, and of course this card is a 4 of in there. Typically you see 3 copies in the main and 1 in the sideboard. Additionally, this is in Through the Breach and sometimes Eldrazi aggro decks, but Eldrazi Ramp is the key driver for the price spike. 2 weeks ago, this was number 15 on our hot list. A week ago, it came in at number 5. Last week, it was 6. But this week, it's up 1 spot, back to number 5. Pest Control, up $6.45 to $25. That's a 35% increase. This is from Outlaws of Thunder Junctions, the Big Score subset. Remember, those cards were harder to pull compared to cards from the main set. Currently, one of the most popular decks in Standard is Esper Self Bounce, and that deck runs a bunch of 1 casting cost cards. Things like Nurturing Pixie, Optimistic Scavenger, Spiteful Hexmage, Stormchaser's Talent, Hopeless Nightmare, and Cadaver Lab, as long as only that room is unlocked and not Defiled Crypt. This has led to Pest Control becoming a highly played card in the format, and sideboards as well as main decks now. The deck using it the most was Esper Self Bounce itself, but that seems to be changing as they are disappearing from those builds. It is, however, appearing in Domain, Orzhov Token Control, and Orzhov Midrange. Additionally, Pest Control has begun to see more play in Modern. For example, Esper Murktide is running copies in both the main and the sideboard, and sometimes it's in the sideboard of Goryo's Vengeance. Turns out Pest Control is a good answer to many of the cards and highly played decks there. This will hit things like Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls and Energy decks, as well as Mox Opal and Tamiyo Inquisitive Student in the Grinding Station Breach builds. Standard was the key driver for Pest Control's price spike for a while, but now Modern is the format pushing it the most. Number 4, Wilhelt the Rotcleaver, up $8.16 to $15.68. That's a 109% increase. This is the foil copy that comes with the Innistrad Midnight Hunt Undead Unleashed Commander deck. It's a highly played commander, and of course the Aetherdrift Eternal Might deck is bringing some good tools for Wilhelt builds, but Wilhelt is in the 99 in some zombie decks too, including one around the Scarab God, which as I mentioned is getting reprinted in Eternal Might. You also see this in Gisa and Droff, as well as Grimgrin Corpseborn, which again were both reprinted in Innistrad Remastered, and of course many players and speculators are grabbing this since it will be a great upgrade to the upcoming Eternal Might commander deck. I hope you watched our Eternal Might upgrade video. We discussed this card there as well. Additionally, Wilhelt will also be good in fresh builds around both Temet Nakataman's Will and Hashatan Scarab's Fist from Eternal Might. Up 6 spots this week to number 3, Stony Silence. The Innistrad copy up $3.59 to $9.75. That's a 58% increase. The Modern Masters 2017 copy up $9.20 to $16.20. That's a 131% increase. This card appears in multiple formats. In Commander, it gets a little play in several builds. For example, it might appear in enchantment heavy decks like Zur the Enchanter or Sithis Harvest Hands. I also see this in Giada Font of Hope builds, and Giada was reprinted in Magic Foundations as well as Magic Foundations Jumpstart recently. Plus, it's getting another printing now in the Secret Lair Cross Hetsune Miko Winter Diva product. Meanwhile, in Legacy, it's on the sideboard of Ocelot Pride Tempo and sometimes Stifle Knot, but Modern is the key driver for this price spike. Grinding Station Breach builds, especially the Teamer one, have been gaining tons of momentum in Modern. Remember, in December, Mox Opal was unbanned, which really pushed those decks, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Stony Silence is a good sideboard card to have handy in order to stop Grinding Station, and it's now showing up in popular Modern decks like Boros Energy, Orzhov Midrange Blank, Esper Murktide, Mardu Midrange Blank, Jeskai Energy, Mardu Energy, Boros Midrange, and more. As long as the Teamer Grinding Station Breach builds continue to perform well, Stony Silence will be sought after as a countermeasure. Jumping up 12 spots this week to number 2, Sands of Time. It goes up $10.98 to $15. That's a 273% increase if you're doing the math at home. This reserve list card from Visions doesn't see much play to speak of. It looks like we have a targeted reserve list buyout here. Maybe they're thinking that you could use this with Donate and a card preview from Aether Drift. The card I'm referring to is Unstoppable Plan, and if you were to donate this to an opponent when Sands of Time is in play, they would have to tap any creature or artifact that they couldn't tap at instant speed before their upkeep. Aether Drift is also giving us a similar effect with Veteran Beast Rider, however that only impacts creatures. At the end of the day, I don't think these combos have legs anywhere. At some point, I'm sure copies of Sands of Time will be sold back into the marketplace, and the price will settle back down. And finally, up 3 spots this week to number 1, Bone Miser. The Commander 2019 copy from the Merciless Rage deck is up $8.12 to $28.87. That's a 39% increase. The one from the list is up $40.10 to $69.84. That's a 135% increase. So notice the list copy spike is disproportionate to the Commander 2019 copy this week. That's because there weren't many copies of the list version for sale, but I would expect that one to come down as more of them enter the marketplace. This card though does see a little Commander playing a few builds. A couple of the more popular ones include Sauron the Dark Lord and Winter Misanthropic Guide. I actually included this card in our Commander deck tech around the Gitrog monster a few weeks ago. Now, however, this is spiking because of the Aether Drift Eternal Might Commander deck. Many players are grabbing this as an upgrade for that build, and that's why the card is spiking. I'm also seeing this in fresh deck lists around Hashitan Scarab's Fist and Temet Nakataman's Will from there. However, be careful, Bone Miser is getting reprinted as a special guest in Aether Drift. Special guest cards are not easy pulls necessarily, but regardless, more copies of Bone Miser are on the way. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Now, later in the week, we are going to do a deck tech around a card we were talking about earlier today. That's Ketramos the New Dawn, so check that out. Remember though, those videos do go out first to our Hero and Legend channel members, as well as our Gold patrons. But by Wednesday afternoon, everybody should be able to view the video. Anyway, until next time, hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.